Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we've got a story sent in by a little girl. She wants to remain anonymous, but so she lives in the U.S. and in the South part, and she went ahead and described something quite fascinating. I'm gonna share with my viewers today. If you could just give me a like, and if you want to and enjoy this channel, subscribe. But yeah, let's get to it. So this girl's name is Snorri, and she describes something quite fascinating. One day, she it's a normal day. She went to school, and she rides the bus, and she rode the bus home with, she's just kind of sitting in the back of the bus. It's a clear day, and she looks out the window and sees something quite strange. There's a group of cows out there. Now, she normally passes this group of cows, and they're eating grass and moving around like cows do. But today she noticed that the cows were all facing one direction, and they weren't interested in the grass. They seemed to be all staring at the barn, this creepy barn. And when she looked up at this barn, and she started to get quite nervous. She's feeling quite nervous. She didn't understand why. As she focused on this barn, she could see this looked to be a shadow or maybe a man, and it was running back and forth. The barn was open, and this shadow was running back and forth really quick. No one could move that quick. And, well, the bus was moving, so she couldn't look at it very long, but yeah, she thought, well, that's quite strange. Yeah. But, she had other things on her mind, getting off from school and going and eating, some snacks, playing with her friends. So the bus goes and lets her out. At this time, something else strange happened. There seemed to be a bit of a fog rolling in. That's right, and this fog was rolling in quite quickly. She said, no big deal. She only lived about a mile up the driveway. And so she gets off the bus and starts walking. And it gets a little chilly. Now, this is at the end of the school year, so it's the end of May. But this fog, it starts to give her a chill. She thinks to herself, well, if I just keep walking home, I can get home. And 'cause she doesn't have a jacket. And so, as she's walking, that chill starts to increase, and she realizes in that moment it's the same chill she felt while looking at that barn. And all of a sudden, she hears something in the distance, and it's the cows. And the cows all seem to be mooing at the same time. Multiple moos. And she's like, oh, that's very strange. So she keeps walking, and then all of a sudden, she catches something out of the corner of her eye. Some type of shadow. And the shadow's really quick, goes by really quick. She could barely see it. And she looked, there's nothing there. So she picks up the pace. Picks up the pace and starts walking. And at this time you'd expect cars to be out and other little kids walking home, but it's very quiet out. Very quiet. So she keeps going, and it's totally silent. She's starting to get really scared. She doesn't have a phone. There's no point in having a phone here because there's no service where she lives. She doesn't have a phone or a jacket, and she's got this thick fog around her. And all of a sudden, these shadows start appearing, and the cow noises. What in blazes going on? Well, she's got no choice but to start running, and she runs up the hill, and all of a sudden she trips. And she's going to fly off and bust her face. She's afraid she's going to fall and bust her face. But all of a sudden, she comes to a complete halt, almost in midair. She's kind of leaning diagonal in midair. And she doesn't know why, but something is holding her up. And she can't believe it. And it's one of these shadow things. It's holding her up. And she starts breathing really hard and she gets dizzy. And then she sort of just blacks out. And when she wakes up, she finds herself right in her front yard. Now, mind you, she only walked about 100 yards from the bus, and she lives like a mile away. Well, she gets up. She can't believe it. It seems this shadow creature has caught her, prevented her from being hurt, and somehow has transported her about a mile away to her house. So I thought that was pretty amazing. So that was our first story ever from a little girl named Snorri. So folks, join us next week and we'll have another story here submitted by perhaps another little girl. Oh, okay. Oh, that was my kitten Muffins. All right, good girl Muffins. All right, I hope you enjoyed the story and I'll see you next week.